Okay, let's do the intro. Hey there. Nope, not that. That sounded so. Welcome, guys, to
Welcome to episode 2 of Under the Sun podcast, where we are going to just dive in and learn more about Aileeah and just her journey in songwriting and kind of what has brought her to where she's at and some things she's passionate about and just part of her story of who she is. So,
yeah, who you're listening to weekly.
Yeah.
You know, on the podcast.
Yeah.
Last week you learned about Emily. This week you learned about me. So, woohoo.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell how we decided to start a podcast? Like, I just think it's funny.
I'm curious if our stories are the same.
Okay, so let me go first.
Yeah.
My story is that like you were over here, we were filming something else because she has a YouTube channel talking all about health and wellness in mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
And we were just talking back and forth about life in general. And we had talked about podcasts a couple of times, but months prior. And and you were like, I just don't have the time and whatnot. And I was like, I need somebody I can like banter with.
Or
like,
confidence, right? Like, oh, I'm not sure. I have like no one cares what I say. Yeah, for sure.
No. See,
but
like,
we're building that. It's a process.
Yeah, we have great conversations, and I'm like, people would love to listen to us, and I need someone to banter, like to talk with, because like I can't just sit there and talk by myself. I'm like, well, I don't want to.
So I'm a pretty extroverted person. Like I need people. I need to be in connection with people. So I think I do my best work in conversation with someone else, not just by myself.
So we just wrapped up. She was about to leave. She just said in passing, she was like, I think I'm ready to start that podcast. I think we should do it. Yeah. And then I think it was like 28 seconds later, I think it was a God thing. Like it came to my mind like this, and I'd never had this thought before. Like I never thought of a podcast name. It wasn't like sitting in my notes, like other things like ready in the chamber. Like once the idea came and my brain just said, Under the Sun. I was like, let's do it. Under the Sun. We'll talk about everything under the sun. Yeah. And I looked up the domain. Under the Sun podcast was there, and
here we are.
Here we are. It's like, what, 3 weeks later? Yeah. And we started, and for me, it's like my tendency is to wait until things are perfect. And like my energy is fantastic and I look fantastic. And we have the proper, like we have a whole set, an Under the Sun podcast set that looks top notch and that lighting is on point. But if she knows this world more, right? So you know what you're looking for. Yes. So I know those things, but if I wait until everything is perfect, I will never do it. That's how we ended up here. Yeah. How do you remember it? Yeah. Well, because I remember like us like joking that we think our conversations between each other very self-centered. We're like, wow, like we have so much fun together. And again, like, and we're the same person. We are. It's a good weird. It's a good weird. Yeah. Yeah. We're the same person while at the same time, like, I feel like you would say you're a little more introverted. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Where I'm like crazy extrovert. Shutdown was rough because I'm like, nope, I need people. And so I feel like there's that aspect of us that like are complementary. Yeah. Well, at the same time, our views on a lot of things, our background, our history, our hobbies, like they're all very, very similar. So I remember us like having this conversation of like, podcasts would be fun, but not by myself. Like I want to talk to somebody. And then I had a friend say to me at one point, she's like, I could see you eventually doing a podcast. And then I was like, well, Aileeah and I have already talked about this. So this needs to become a thing. And then you like popped out that Under the Sun. You're like, I don't know. What do you think? I was like, no. Like, amazing. Perfect. Because there's enough. I think it's a God thing. It's like, for sure. Like, what are the odds that domain, which is totally like the techie side of me that's like, the domain is available. It's a shine. I'm like, what? See, that's why we compliment each other. Yeah. It's good. And like, you know, we're very, like, we have a lot of interests that are the same. At the same time, we're professionally in very different worlds. It's not like two people talking about the same thing. We're not both health people, which I'm health. Yeah. I'm technically her client, right? Yeah. So like, But you have your profession, I have my profession, and we're just here talking. So today we're going to be talking about Aileeah and her amazing just life and story. I mean, I feel like I've known you for a long time, but we didn't really connect in terms of like her and Dave were married, but like we didn't really become
Yeah, and you
good
came to our
friends.
wedding. John was in the wedding.
Yeah, like I don't feel like we were really good friends until a couple years ago.
Like now, if I were to get married, Emily would be in my bridal bridal power, bridal party.
With the power. I don't know. It sounds intimidating. So
Yeah,
I'm okay
but
with
it's
that.
like,
Yeah, I mean, and I think I came to your bridal shower and stuff,
Yeah.
but we weren't like we are now. I mean, she's like one of my, top go-to gals here. Gal, I sound like an old grandpa over here.
we're gonna play bridge later too.
Oh man. And I think so much of like my journey has been you helping me step into so many of these aspects of like confidence and speaking in front of a camera. And she's like, Emily, you have something to say. And I was like, no, I don't. Like people don't, there's enough amazing people in this world, and you're like, no, like come, like we're all unique. We all have something to share. And I feel like you so much pulled that out of me, which I will forever be grateful for. But I love your music and who you are as a person. And just I love watching you and Dave together. And I feel like we've gone camping together, like as, families, and my kids love her and Dave and their dogs. And,
My dogs love kids.
my daughter will spend hours listening to Miss Aileeah's music on Spotify. And I think there's just so many amazing things about Aileeah, but we'll let her take over and share just who she is. And
Does anybody ever, like, when someone says, like, hey, like, who are you? Do you ever just think, like, I don't know. I'm just here as a person.
Yeah, I feel like I've been asked enough about my story because I think for me, when clients come to see me, they want to know it's
what
hard
authority?
to trust.
Like, authority. It's like not just like what is it? Not an acronym after your name.
Sure.
It's like,
But like, who is that?
Why do you believe what you believe, kind of thing? Like, health-wise.
Yeah. So I 100%. Sometimes you're like, well, when I was born, you're like, no, too far back. I don't know. And trying to assess, right? Like, but we want it all.
Well, I was born in the hallway, so yeah.
For reals?
Yeah, I was born in the hallway.
Man.
Because I'm the youngest of 7 kids.
Okay.
And my mom went into the hospital. They were on a road trip. Who was on a road trip? Like 9 months pregnant, like days away from her due date.
Yeah.
And they went on a road trip. Well, Dad was preaching at a revival, and then on the way back to, I don't even know where they were living, but we were in Missouri. I say we as if like I was conscious. I was not. I was just a baby.
Yeah.
But
you were there.
Yeah. No, she went into the hospital. Was like, hey, I'm about to have this baby. She was just calm. It's her 7th kid. She knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, honey, sure you are. Sure you're about to have a baby. And then she was like, no, seriously, like it's coming out. Can you freaking help me with this?
Grab this. Yeah.
And then she like looked, she's like, oh my gosh. And she like, and it was like in the ER.
Yeah.
Like hallway. So yeah, that's how it all began. And my mom jokes that like it's been a whirlwind ever since. Cause like I think it's interesting. I'm the youngest of 7, and all of my siblings have like pretty traditional names. There's like Jake, John, Brittany, Stephanie, and then there's like me, Aileeah. It's like the one strange name. My mom jokes now. She's like, I think it's because like God knew what field you were going to go in. You're going to be like a unique, memorable name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So same as Emily, I was homeschooled all of like my school age life, and around 9, I saw my brother writing a song, and then I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? And I remember like watching cartoons.
And your mom sang, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Was there music outside of just your...
I was a pastor's kid. We had to sing in church all the time. And you had no choice but to sing in church. Which now I realize was like preparing me for like things in life. I remember watching cartoons and like Toy Story. And when she sang When Somebody Loved Me, or When She Loved Me.
Yes.
And like being physically like I could feel the song. Like, and maybe that's something with like being, I feel like I'm kind of an empath, like I can feel, I feel a lot like with the room. But I remember watching that and watching movies, cartoons, and like whenever this like a song came on that like touched me, like I would just sit there and weep. Like I was like a 9-year-old, like who sits there and I don't know. I feel like other girls were just like, oh, I'm just playing with my Barbies, and I was just like, oh, this song is so beautiful. And then I saw my brother writing a song, and my mom always wrote songs, but when your mom is doing it, it's not as cool as when like your older brother who's like 10 years older, who's you think is hip and cool. So
yeah.
He really took me under his wing and taught me a lot how to write songs and stuff. And so I remember my first song was called, and I was like 9 or 10, and it's called Dear Adelaide. And I don't know where I heard the name Adelaide, and it's...
Do you still have it?
I have it in my mind.
Have you ever like actually performed it?
No, like, it's not finished because I played it for my brother. I remember I played it for my brother and my dad.
Okay.
Because I just written it, and I like Jacob showed me like 3 chords on the guitar, and I went and I wrote it by myself, and I showed, and they both cried, and I was like, well, that must not have been good. And he was like, Leah, what's going on? Are you okay? And I was like, sure. Like, I had a thought that this would be a sad story to write about. And they were like, let's see. It's dear Adelaide, I'm sorry things turned out this way. My dear Adelaide, I'm sorry I couldn't save the day. And then the verses, she plays in the backyard, hoping that someone will see the bruises on her little cheeks. Asking God now, why did you pick me to live the life that's killing me? And then it's a story about a little girl who is in foster care. I don't know where I got the story at 9.
Right.
She's 9.
Did you know anyone in foster care at that point?
Well, no, I didn't know it at the time. I did. Like there was like kids in our Sunday school who, but I never remember like.
You don't remember having that
mom never had a conversation of like, this is a little kid, like they don't have parents right now, so like maybe don't bring up, like just be sensitive to these things. So it's like, it's the story of the mother talking about the girl that she gave up for adoption as a baby. So this little girl's in foster care, and the foster care, the home that she's at is abusive, and she plays outside hoping that someone will like, hey, like pay attention, I'm not, whatever. Yeah. And then it transitions into a story. My dear Adelaide, I'm sorry things turned out this way. My dear Adelaide, I'm sorry I couldn't save the day. It's like, you're 9. Why are you thinking like this? Wow. I don't understand it. So nothing ever happened. I never did anything with that song because I didn't understand
why
my dad was upset. Well, why my dad
if my 9-year-old came to me with that, I'd be like, wait, what? Where did you get this from?
Are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. Just have a song. What do you think of this? And then when people cry, I'm like, it wasn't a positive memory. I was like, I'll go write about something happy. Okay. Yeah, really. Yeah. So that was like my first song I wrote. First, like one I can remember. Yeah. I think it kind of all started when I started working at, this is totally too long of a story, but I started working at Bass Pro Shop in town. Okay. Before it even opened here in town. In our town that we lived in, I helped stock the store, paint all the stuff that's, around whatever. I was like 17 at the time. I was dating someone I did not like. Okay. It was back in the time when for me, I did not realize you could like who you were with. I didn't realize that you could enjoy having their company, Oh, sure. I thought you date somebody because because that's just what you do. Because at some point you're going to need to get married, you're going to have kids, and you just might as well be this person, whatever. So long story short, I'm working at Bass Pro. I meet this girl named Bree White. She was like my best friend for a long time. She left Bass Pro Shop and worked at PNC Bank. And then she got me a job. I was very anti-credit card, I'm very anti-establishment. And I was like, this is not the job for me, but it's a...
Do you think some of that anti-establishment is based on how you were raised?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because your parents didn't buy into some of that.
My parents were not. I wouldn't say they're not the most extreme. They're somewhere in the middle of Sure. But they were not. They encouraged me to think outside of the box. Like my dad, he was a pastor and he was also a carpenter. So he was a lot like Jesus. But he would take us to work sites and be like, so this is traditionally how this would be done. Yeah. How would you do it? And then he would
he was teaching you critical thinking.
Oh yeah, he would think that's how amazing. To do it. Just because it's basically this is how everybody else does it. That doesn't mean you have to do it this way. You can do it however way you want, as long as it still looks good, gets the job done, or whatever the scenario is. Yeah. Which I didn't realize. I would get agitated because I'm like, can't we just do a thing without having to think about the thing? Come on,
Dad. Does everything have to be a teaching moment?
Yeah, it was teaching us to think for ourselves. Yeah. Very patient too. I was not a bright kid, but I really think it was a divine thing that I met Bree at this job, because actually it was this whole thing of my ex-boyfriend's mom got me the job at Bass Pro. I met Bree at Bass Pro, which then took me to PNC, and PNC Bank is where I met my husband. Yeah. And he thinks it's divine too. He can talk about it sometime. We'll have him on the podcast, but he was just happened to be in a Jimmy John's and met my manager, and then she was like, hey, you want to come work for us?
Funny.
And like, so he wasn't even looking for a job.
Right.
And so he came and worked for PNC, and then within like 6 months we were dating, and I knew, this is probably way too much detail, but I like the details when people tell stories, because I'm like, I want to know like
if
I'm
it's
like
important to you.
taste, smell, like what did it look like tell me the details. So I remember, like, picture a teller line. I come into work one day, and my coworker, her name is Denise, she's putting photos up in her teller station of her son's wedding.
Okay.
So you know who this is. It's Jesse and Jenna's wedding.
Oh, sure.
So our good friends, they're putting up photos of like their bridal party, and Dave is in one of them. And I was like, who is that? And she was like, oh, that's Dave Rubber. He's amazing. He's amazing. And I was like, I love him. And I said it jokingly, but I'm not kidding. In my soul, I knew I was going to marry him. I was like, he is my husband. I need him. Dave had not interviewed for this job at this point. Like, he wasn't working at PNC, and he
like walked through the doors, and like the wind blew, and birds started chirping. And
so I started in December. I saw that picture in December. He started in February, and then came in like shortly before he started to like meet the team.
Yeah.
And like, he walked in, and I was like, I love him. Well, he had a girlfriend at the time, and but wasn't happy, and that's all I'll say about that. And so long story short, they ended up breaking up, and then I was like, no, you need to be alone for a while. And he was like, I don't need to be alone, because like, I've never liked anybody like I've liked you. And then the rest was history.
How old were you? I forget when you met
18?
him. 18? Yeah. Okay.
I was 18 when I met him, and he was 25, 24.
Such an old man.
Yeah, such an old man.
Robin the Cradle.
Well, and that's what everyone thought. They were like, oh, you just got in a relationship and you're going to date this young girl. That's not going to go anywhere. It's just, you know.
Didn't you have braces? I feel like I remember you having braces.
I had braces. I paid for those braces myself. My parents couldn't afford to pay.
There's nothing wrong with having braces when you're older.
No, but like,
I just remember. I think that probably makes
it made me look
younger.
A lot younger.
For sure,
for sure. But like, also like, good for Dave for like looking past the fact that I had braces and like saw me as a person, like, and being like, oh, she looks young.
Yes.
He started in February. I turned 19 in April. So and then we weren't together by then, and he actually. I don't think we started dating until like September or something. But Harosa was a cover band that my husband Dave was in for a long time. And something happened to where Dave mentioned that I wrote this song, or someone said I wrote this song. I really don't know.
Were you still writing songs? Like,
I was writing songs.
Were you performing at any point?
No, I didn't perform anywhere. I didn't. Unlike a lot of artists, they're like, I had dreams of being on the stage. I didn't. I never.
You just liked writing songs.
I just liked writing songs, and I wasn't one of those kids that were like, no, and like I have more confidence than I know. Like Kate has like more confidence than her daughter.
But I mean, you give her a microphone and she's great, but if you tell her to go on stage and like do something, then she's like terrified.
Yeah,
but like,
so I wasn't like this overconfident kid that was like, I can sing anywhere.
Sure,
it was just like I liked attention, but I also got like super nervous. Anyway, So I never thought about being a performer. And then at rehearsal one night, somebody brought up that like, oh, you sing songs? Like, sing us a song. And so I sang a song, and like, Dave was like, he had never heard me sing. He was like, oh my gosh, you sound great.
Were you told you had a good voice when you were young?
Yeah, but I don't take compliments like, I don't take them. I don't absorb them. So people can tell me like, oh, your hair looks great. And I'm like, nah, what do you want from me?
You have to believe it.
Yeah. I don't know why.
You
I don't know where that comes from, but like, I have a hard time receiving compliments. So,
just something fun to dig into one day.
I know. I've been looking into therapy. I'm gonna start it because I'm like,
why do I do the things I do?
Yeah. For a long time, my brother had been saying like, no, like we should start a band or do something. And what it was them speaking life into something I didn't even have the vision for. And
they saw it.
They saw it. I didn't see it for a long time. I was like, I'll just sing the songs I want to sing, the songs I wrote, or sometimes they were songs that Jacob wrote, and it just kind of started, and it kind of took off slowly. And then before I knew it, we were playing halfway decent stages at festivals and stuff. And you know, like people, like Beyonce has like a alter ego when she performs. It's like it's some kind of like,
I guess I don't know that.
It's like an alter ego that she like who performs. Like Beyonce doesn't perform. It's like in her mind she separates it. Yeah. So in my mind I was like, that's not me. That's the Aileeah, the branded Aileeah.
Sure.
We were all just trying to chase just getting on the radio. Like that's all it was. Like we just need a couple hits to get on the radio, fill in the gap. Because at the time, like I love country music.
Were you still working for PNC at this point?
No, so
that's right. And
let me back up.
I
Sorry.
didn't think you were.
I'm terrible.
I'm just gonna help her fill in the gaps. Okay?
Yeah, as a storyteller, I'm good at telling stories and songs.
Yes.
My ADD skips around in
That's
real
good.
life.
I'm helping. I'm
So
good.
no,
I'm with
David
you.
we couldn't work together and date.
We would like to thank our amazing, beautiful sponsor, Aileeah. So we are still new to this, so we are sponsoring ourselves.
We really believe in us.
Through this podcast. And Aileeah Colgan has amazing music that she's put out there. So we'd love for you to go listen to her music, check it out. It helps her continue to grow in her music, her beautiful music industry. So if you go to Spotify and go to Aileeah Colgan, you can pull up all of her awesome music, as well as YouTube. She has awesome stuff on YouTube. Lots of amazing music videos. So go check her out.
Like personally, you didn't feel like you could do that,
No,
or like there was like a rule?
Yeah, the PNC wouldn't allow because
Sure, like inner
something to do with
romance.
The safe. Like we both had alternate codes, so we could take.
Oh,
we could do like a Bonnie and Clyde.
Man,
Yeah, except for like we're honest people, so that would never happen. But
it seems hilarious. Like that would be a thing. Like
yeah, it was. I do remember. So our manager at the time, her name's Emily, and so Dave was single at this point, and Dave and I had been talking.
she just didn't like that you were dating him.
No, I think she did. She did. She came to our wedding actually, and Dave and I had been talking, and people like to pretend like that's
Oh,
we
yeah.
were just talking because he had just gone through a breakup.
Yeah.
And Emily was wanting to sell Zach Brown tickets. Zach Brown
Okay.
band.
Yeah.
And she was like, I need somebody to buy these tickets because we can't go now. And we need somebody to buy it. And Dave was like, I'll buy it, but you have to allow me to take Aileeah.
Yeah.
And then she was like, Dave, you work together. You're not supposed to work together and date. And he was like, well, then I don't want to buy the tickets. And,
Yeah.
And then she was like desperate because they were like a couple $100, like they were good tickets.
Yeah.
And then she was like, man, okay, don't tell corporate or whatever. And so that was our first date as like
Zach Brown Band?
Yeah, Zach Brown Band was our very first date. And then
I feel like I remember that.
yeah. And then our very first date as a married couple was Zach Brown Band.
That's
Florida
right.
On
Yep.
our honeymoon. So
That's awesome.
I feel like a lot of people hate on men, but I have really fantastic men. My husband's amazing. My brothers and my dad, they really spoke a lot of life into me that I didn't even see in myself, which then actually fostered this like confident person that I never imagined I could be. Because like if you meet me now, I'm outspoken. I talk a lot. I'm introverted, but I talk a lot and I'm confident in the things that I know. But back 18-year-old me, I was way more timid and way more anti-establishment. And I just wanted to drive my Corsica around and play my Zach Brown. Like I wasn't really sure where I was going in life. And they encouraged me and I wrote a lot of songs and I failed a lot. Like I biffed it on stage or I like embarrassed myself. And I think, you know how people go to college to like test out classes and stuff. I think I went to the school of like hard knocks for performing and like I had to like fail a lot and which taught me how to like get back up again, which is sometimes hard and or like see that like just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that you are the mistake and which was something like a mental battle I had to work through. But yeah, all these years later we performed all around the country and written hundreds of songs. Haven't had like a hit, but I hope. Actually, I'll play it.
Coming.
Yeah, I haven't had a hit, but I have a song I'm about to release, I think in June. And I think it'll be my, like, even if it's nothing, it's my song I'm the most proud of.
It is.
So
She originally had sent it to me, and it's just I don't know it's not a rough draft. I don't know what is.
It was not even a demo. It was a voice memo recording that we recorded, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I sat there and sobbed my eyes out. And my daughter was like, why are you crying? Like, it's Miss Aileeah's song. And I'm like, because it is like, music can be so healing. And I feel like for me, it was a moment of healing I still needed. And I was like, oh my word, like this is going to change lives. Like, and you've just perfected it even from there. So I can't wait for it to come out because I want to share it with everybody, but I'm like, I can't say anything yet because
I think it's, and this song, I think I've told you this, but
I'll have to do a podcast on just like that overall song and just how that all
came and
it's
amazing.
I totally forgot that. I was actually the plan to do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
But it's a God-given song. I feel like it's not, I keep saying this on my Instagram that like, it's not my song, it's God's song, because like I do think that he not pushed me, but encouraged me to
give you the word.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And also like, it was also a point where Dave and I have never written a song together. And it was like a point of pride for me of like, I don't know why, but it was like, it was the one thing I was good at, because Dave is so good at everything. Like he's just like amazing at everything he does. He just flourishes. And I'm like, this is my like one thing I'm talented at. And I'm like, I don't want you like in my psyche, I don't want you to be, I don't want you to outperform me in writing. I was like, it's like, what if you get good and then you're better than me and then you're better than everything? And it's like, it was like weird.
Yeah.
But we worked through like this song, I was writing it and I was stuck. And it was like the beginning of the pandemic. And I was like, okay, like, I just had like this feeling of like, just lay your pride down, like, just put it down for a minute and go like ask for help. Cause like, that's a problem for me. I don't ask for help. And like, and I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Yes. So like, I went and I asked, and like within an hour we had written it together and both of us were sobbing. And I've seen my husband cry. I saw him cry at our wedding and at his grandpa's funeral. And that was it. It opened like a wall that I had built up for songwriting for so long of like, no, this is my thing. You stay over, like you just play guitar.
In your lane.
You play guitar, which was wrong. It's wrong of me to think that, but so yeah, now we have a song and a video that's
well, it's part of your healing,
done.
right?
Yeah.
Like there was some emotional healing that happened with that process for you, in the same way that I believe your song will give healing to a lot of other people.
Yeah, I have a friend. I'll probably tell the story more, I guess, in the podcast episode about this song. But I sent it to her. She's had 2 miscarriages, and she was like, I love that. She's like, and I mean this well. She's like, I love that it's not comforting. And I was like, ouch. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it's not like this was hard, but you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Give it time. Let yourself heal. Like, it's not that. It's just like purely acknowledging the grief that you went through.
Like podcast, like even if it's multiple, like bringing in a few people who had miscarriages and talk about the song.
That's a great idea.
And then just talk about a few of experiences.
That would be amazing.
A couple people just.
Yes. Okay. That's great. But all that leading up, like, you know, back up a little bit before, like I started performing and my husband's my guitar player. He wasn't my husband at the time and we got married and like now we have this business together. And do you ever listen to Dave Ramsey?
Yeah.
And they say like, live like no one else so you can live and give like no one else.
Yes.
We believe that we have more of an anointing on our life to like, just be entrepreneurs and help encourage people like with you, like there's I feel like God has given me a gift to where like I can see things in people and I'm like, this is what you could be. And like almost like how Jake and Dave and my dad and people saw something in me that I never saw. Like I can see things in other people and I'm like, you have to do this. Like you would be fantastic. And like be there to help encourage them. So I think I think we've started a YouTube channel for Dave and I to do like basically just document our life because we just have a bizarre life. We tour around the country. We we work full time. We're starting a second business, and you know we have just amazing friends and amazing family. And
when I think as a couple in general, I mean, not a lot of. Maybe a lot is a stretch, but like many people don't do well working with their spouse.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think that, and I don't think that's always because they don't want to, but I feel like you and Dave you've also done so much work on the emotional side of just growing together and doing things together, which I think is awesome. You're never going to settle for just what a lot of typical marriages settle for, I think. Yeah. So I think that is unique and encouraging in and of itself and something you can share.
We should do a whole podcast about like relationships and stuff because like it hasn't always like everything.
Sure.
Nothing is ever always perfect or as it seems on social media. It's never like, you know, you see the post of like, my life is so fantastic. And then it's like, I know what is going on behind the scenes. Like, why do you have to lie? I think like Dave and I's YouTube channel and like the content we're planning, it's like, it's not to just show the highlight reel of like, oh, life is fantastic. This is us traveling. This is us performing. It's like, actually, this is us like having a little spat and us like figuring out how to communicate through that, because we're both different and we both have different communication styles, and like how to navigate through like, you know, emotions and pride and, you know, and try to do it in a godly fashion. And so, I don't know. I guess that's me. I hate when people tell me to ask story. Like, I can tell you about songs.
We'll just write you a song, you know.
I do have a song, like, I'm trying to write.
It's like Aileeah instead of Adelaide. It should be Aileeah.
Well, it sounds so dark, but I don't want to release the song, like, until I say this. I don't think it's true. I think I will release it. I just feel like it's, you know, like things that will hurt someone's family.
Yeah.
Like hurt someone's feelings.
Yes.
So, like,
there's timing in it.
Yeah. So like there's a song, I want to write a song for like each block of my life from like 1 to 10, 10 to 20. And then right now I'm in 20 to 30. So like, I just want to write in blocks of like, and release albums maybe in like a block, you know, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully really we're just entrepreneurs trying to do something different. And I don't know, even with this podcast, I just want to start something that like I'm passionate about, talking with my friends about how to live a lifestyle that just because everyone else says it's crazy doesn't mean that it's crazy. You can do something that's out of the norm.
Yeah.
You can start your own business and ignore what society is yelling at you. Like, I didn't go to college. Like, my husband went to college and we make the same salary right now. So I'm like,
right.
You can't.
I feel like I heard a doctor kind of in the holistic world who talks a lot about like his company that he runs, and you know, he's like, we're intentionally disruptive. And I think of you when I hear that.
Yes.
You know, we're like Aileeah and Dave too, but like Aileeah is very intentionally disruptive. Like, we're going to go outside the box. We're not going to let things like, we're going to do what we have to do legally to make sure that we cover our butts. At the same time, we're not going to let anything hold us back.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is
because nobody did anything important by doing it safe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and then plus, like, I have a song called Bucket List, and I hate to always go back to songs because it's not a plug, but
but that's who you are.
It is who I am. And like, it's truly like, I didn't realize
no one will ever ask me to sing. We're good. Or play the piano, because we tried that for like 10 years and I can't play you anything. I love music. And so I love hearing about that for you. But I love that. I mean, that's who you are. If it's easier to sing, like, we're going to work on some frequency music and all sorts of things.
Oh my gosh, that's so happening. Cause
yes,
that is happening. I need it to happen. But I didn't realize like that writing music was there, like how I worked through emotions for a long time. So when I went through a stint where like I was so burnt out, actually when I started working with you, like, so basically,
for sure. You hadn't picked up your guitar for a long time.
No, I was working full time.
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
So like, here's my plug, right? Where it's like, I think this is where our passions met, right?
Oh,
because like when I see a God-given talent, or God has created you to be this certain way, and like he created you to do things with music, and you couldn't do that because you weren't feeling well. Yeah. You know, and like,
but then
makes me angry.
Then there's this mainstream mentality of just grind it out, just work hard, be sleep deprived. Like, doesn't matter how you feel till you get to the finish line.
To some degree too, it could have also been like, well, maybe that's just not what you're meant to do, because you don't enjoy it. Versus it being
I don't have the energy like everybody else does, so this must not be for me.
Right. And this isn't fueling me, so it must be wrong.
Yeah.
Versus it being like, well, there's a health issue. Yeah. So we fixed that. Yeah. And now all of a sudden I'm excited about my passion again.
Yeah. And that is
because the enemy wants to like get in there and and feel like, you're not good at that.
Yeah. So I guess Emily and I have known each other for years, but I don't know. I guess health wise. Yeah. It was like at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah. I was forced to not work. Like literally everything just dissipated. And so I before that I was working full time, which was well over full time, part time, leading worship on Sundays and such, like through the week, and then also touring like a lot, and while also just having normal life things like paying bills, keeping your house clean, having a dog, like having a husband, like all the things that like are just like normal life. And I just, when the world shut down, I was like, this is my one chance. Like, well, for starters, I slept for like a month and I could not wake up. And I was like, I don't even know what happened. I think you posted something and I was like, don't like, something about like take initiative for your health or whatever. And I was like, I'll have Emily do it. Cause like, I can't heal myself because through being burnt out and exhausted and not writing a song for like a year.
Well, even practitioners need somebody. Like we all still need somebody to kind of help walk alongside and be that navigator because it's hard when we're in it. It's hard to see that.
The thought of like doing the research enough to like
feel confident
in it. I was like, I don't have this. I was like, and for me, that was like a lesson in surrendering. Like, okay, I can't do everything. Cause that's my thing is I want to be awesome and like have control of it. So I was like, I'm just gonna like, I know she'll have my best interest at heart. Emily, like, tell me what to do with my life. And then she was like, don't do this, stop doing that. And it was great. And she was like, put your phone off at 9 p.m. And I was like, fine. And then she told me to go to bed by like, as soon as I could.
Stop staying up till 3 a.m. or, and you're like, but it's pandemic. Why do I have to?
No, seriously. And I didn't listen for a long time. And then I started like listening to my body and like when like my body would get a lot really tired at like 9:15, but I would push through because I felt like I had to keep going.
Yeah.
For who? I felt like shit. Like, no. Yeah. So now we're here and it's a year and a half later and my acne is, besides my mass knee from traveling, is gone. I feel much better. We're still on a journey because apparently my glyphosate is off. So now I'm worried about that.
We don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
But yeah, and now just like truly I hated this pandemic. I hated it because but I think it also did a lot of things that were important to move mountains later. I don't know if that
I feel like you're
sense.
stepping more into who you were made to be.
Yeah. Instead of like the artist I was before the pandemic was, I just want to get on the radio. I just need validation. I was just literally everything I was doing was just get approval, like applause. Yeah. And that's exhausting because every crowd is different. And some people,
and even if you get to the top, right? Like how exhausting to stay up there.
Yeah.
If that's the goal.
Also, if that's the goal,
the motivation.
Yeah. Whereas like now I'm like, not that I don't care to get on the radio. I want success, but I also am not going to do it to my detriment. And I'm also not going to do it to devalue my morals and my beliefs and realize the importance of community, of having like you as a friend and like hanging out with Irene more and just my friends in general. I think we need each other to speak life into each other and like encourage each other. Whereas I thought like before, like, nope, I can just do it on my own. And like, I don't need anybody. Like, and as a kid who was like a nerd as a kid and didn't make friends easy, like it's hard for me to like relinquish the power of be like, oh, like I can like tell my friends the truth about like how I'm feeling and they won't like leave, which is super bizarre. But yeah, so now we're here starting the podcast talking about real life and writing songs and healing people, getting rid of parasites, and it's great.
With our King coffee with our coffee and we're gonna be intentionally disruptive.
I feel like that should be our tagline of some sort. That's amazing. I never thought about it. See, I've always thought about my personality as too much. That's like the word that comes to mind. I'm like, now I think of like, and I like say that I'm like intentionally disruptive because everything, I think my parents fostered as a kid, like, hey, this is how people do it. But how do you do it? Otherwise like, that's how I'm living now. And I didn't realize it was like a positive thing. So that's great. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
It is.
Yeah. The end.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's episode as we learn more about Aileeah and just her journey. If it was our preference, we would have an amazing, huge, long dining room table with big cups of coffee, and you guys could sit with us and just join in the conversation of just sharing your story with us. And we hope that this platform is a way that does add value to your life and offers you some form of hope and just gets to know us more as we kind of share other things that we're passionate about
if you guys could do us a huge favor, it does help us out if you can like, subscribe, and then share with a friend. It's a big world with a lot of voices in it, and we just hope to add some value in this crazy world. So the more that you guys like, share, or subscribe, it really does help us out. Just getting kind of our faces out there more, just getting kind of our message of hope to other people.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye. No, maybe we just tell people bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's our thing. It's like, bye.
Bye. Jazz hands.
Goodbye. And